So my name is Tyler Suomala. I'm the creator of Growthitect. I'm really excited to be joined by Clifton Harness, the CEO and chief gift maker at TestFit. And if you all have been on LinkedIn for longer than a week or two, then you've probably seen a lot of their viral gifts around the product, around the huge problems that they're solving in the industry. But every single time that gets shared, right, what happens, Clifton? There's always a little bit of pushback, right? There's always a little bit of concern, a little bit of anxiety that's popping in from other anxieties, being concerned that tools like these are actually going to take over their job or devalue architects. And so reached out to Clifton about this. We chatted about it, and Clifton has an amazing perspective on this that really opened up my eyes. And I think he's going to do the same for you, where this is definitely not something that we have to be concerned about, taking over our jobs. But on the contrary, it's something that can be used to offer tremendous value to your services and to the value that you're providing to your clients. But Clifton, that's enough of a monologue from me. Please jump in and say the rest.
Yeah. So why should you care about my perspective and really AI and automation? So I went to UT Austin. I got a Bachelor of Architecture. Like 160 hours of coursework to get a professional degree. 4,000 hours in internships, and like kind of made a joke about the ARE minutes ago. And I started studying for it, and I kind of was like, I don't think I will ever achieve enough power as an architect to realistically be like a master builder, like someone that can go and control the whole process. And I kind of got disheartened, and I was like 24 years old, 23 years old, and I'm looking around at like the software and stuff that we were able to use, and it's like you want to do any automation, you had to learn like Grasshopper or Lisp routines or Dynamo. And like I worked for businesses that like wanted to turn profits and were never paid, except for in a couple cases, well, for design. And there was always in my mind this like limiting factor, which is like, all right, in the design cycle, we only get like a week, honestly, like 1 week to design an apartment building. And there's a whole half of the architecture industry that's not driven by like program. It's just like highest and best use is what drives the building. And so architects are expected to create, buildings that are profitable first, and then maybe they earn the right to do architecture at a later date. And like enrages me because in every case, better design is sort of like you're going to spend that dollar and you're going to make $5. Bad design is like you're going to spend that dollar and you're going to make $4. And like it doesn't cost anything to be thoughtful, and we don't have time in commodity architecture as architects to be thoughtful. So that led us to build TestFit. My co-founder and I have been working on this for almost 8 years. And our business model is to optimize really buildings that require parking. And so we take from, our business model is Robinhood. We take from the heavy parking, the heavy concrete dependent typologies, and we make sure those are profitable. And then we, in our spare time, build all of the tools that new urbanists need. And all while competing against a near monopoly and other startups that claim to be, feasibility tools when maybe they're, a planning tool or something. So I will probably spend the rest of my career committed to architecture and create cash flows for innovating in architecture. And that means like TestFit is a business that needs to make money so that we can continue our mission to keep providing technology for the architects. So we will go through a demo today. Can we switch to our screen share?
And let's set. Oh man, that is a big Growthitect logo. We'll set the tone here. Yeah. So Clifton, you're going to jump in. You're going to show us what this looks like. Everyone here, please drop a comment into the chats. Let us know where you're diving in from. I see some familiar faces. Hey, Natalia. Hey, Evelyn. Hey, Zachariah. Zachariah had a good point too. Good thing about AI is that we're going to have time to strategize, right? Or that now you will have time to strategize because it's going to help fill a lot of those gaps. So yeah, drop into the chat. For one, let us know where you are watching from. We want to know that. But second of all, I'll be watching the chat and I will be aggressively interrupting Clifton every second I can to ask these questions and kind of be your voice. So as things come up, if you're looking at things, like drop them in and we'll go from there. How does that sound, Clifton?
Sounds great. So the demo is going to be three main parts. There's going to be urban planner, which is planning at an urban scale, trying to get blocks to be the right size, trying to get rough orders of magnitude in the right spot. Then we'll move into site solver, which is you already have the block. You're trying to figure out what's the highest and best use kind of building that will go onto that block. And then the last thing that we have to talk about is generative design, which is you already have sort of what you want your highest and best use to look like. And it's a matter of running through 30,000 really bad options to find one that maybe you want to turn into architecture. So I'll start with urban planner. The purpose of urban planner is that sort of top-down view, looking at a big street grid, and I'm sort of, okay, this block right here is 8.76 acres. This block right here is 6.74 acres, and it's all divided by roads. So you might ask yourself, why are you using roads? TestFit is based in America. We are car brained. We are car dependent. And the only way I can create software that people will buy is to respect the current process of being car dependent. So what we've built is a street section tool that's loosely inspired by StreetMix, which if you go to their website, it's a great open source project, but it shows different street sections and how they interact from a section view. What we've tried to do is sort of port this into a plan view. So you can go into the editor, you can see we have just right out on default 6 different street sections. And obviously I would be a fan if you don't start with highways everywhere, but likely you don't want an alleyway everywhere either. And so I was talking about the Robin Hood mentality. Like, this is our goal, is to get, tools where we can do more new urbanist style street sections. So I'm going to go into this avenue. And TestFit is a parametric modeling environment. It is no different than building information modeling, which is a parametric modeling environment. Our focus, though, is at a slightly different scale. So we're, building and up. Sometimes we do parts inside the building, but for the most part, we're trying to stay at the scale of the building. So here we have just the street section. It's got a sidewalk, a buffer, and parking. And to sort of flex the parametrics, what I can do is I can change my stall angle. I can rotate it to 60 degrees, 45 degrees. You can have any sort of flexible parameter can be sort of codified in here. And then back in the site plan, I can go in and I can change this type to 04 Avenue. And you can see that street section update. What we're also doing is generating intersections in real time. So go to Avenue here, and you'll see this streets intersection get generated in real time. And this goes back to, like, I'm not a civil engineer as an architect, and I don't want to go spend 900 hours getting the right turn radii and all this stuff. I just want to draw a road. And, if like I was watching architects in their 50s and 60s roll out trace paper, and they can draw intersections really quickly with the flare tip pen. And there's just really not a quick way to do that in CAD. You almost have to like call someone to make it look perfect, I guess, because CAD like basically requires that you make everything perfect. So if we can get to a place where we're just sort of moving quickly with the flare tip pen mentality here in Urban Planner, getting the intersections roughly sized the right size, then we will be headed in the right direction. So might just march around this site and turn it all into slightly better roads. I can mirror the roads so I can get the sort of parking head in or back in, around my subject property. I'll mirror this one. And so now what I'm doing is I'm just trying to set up how people will interact, from the street edge section, into this site. And we can start to think about the site itself even. So right now maybe I'll go into 3D, just take a look at it. I don't know what my topo is. I don't know if I have any floodplains. I don't even know what my zoning is. And so what we'll do is we'll sort of query some of these nationally available databases that we've worked hard to kind of pull in. I'll turn elevation data on. So this is a layer that can generate dynamically more detail if you need it to. And so here the elevation increment, I think, is down to like 2 feet. So you can see really close contours. But say you're working on a really, really large site with really far apart contours. Lower the map down. Change this to 10-foot contours. So like the goal is no matter what scale you're doing in Urban Planner, you can get your contours to match the problem you're actually looking at. So
And
for this,
the other part of this though is that there's something that you're pointing to here, which is just to even get to the point where architects can start designing, there's so much prep work, there's so much information, there's so much data that you need to start pulling in that can take a long time, right? Because that's a lot of manual effort and research, but you're saying it's here. It's literally right here. So I'm assuming, everyone drop into the chat, which by the way, we have a great global audience here. A lot of people here to support you and see TestFit Clifton. But drop into the chat how this is different, from what you're doing today when you're doing that site prep and beginning to get things ready. Would love to understand that. But yeah, already just the ability to, move around these roads, make those small changes, make it spacious like we want to, and kind of be able to test those boundaries of the site really quickly and effectively is already a huge time saver. And now we're bringing in data with just a simple toggle, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah. So I got fairly annoyed, in the professional practice of always being asked to print out, satellite imagery to scale. So we could put trace paper on top of it. And, it always was like an effort because you're getting in the CAD. Sometimes it had, great scales. Sometimes it did, it was just really bad, sort of non-standard way to do it.
And to your point, it requires that instinctual, 30, 40 years of experience to be able to really do that effectively at scale.
Well, I mean, the guys that can sketch at 1:100 and know they're sketching at 1:100 without a scale are incredible, and you should shut up and listen to them, right? They're trying to, they're really what they have is in their mind, everything they want on the paper. And the challenge is their body isn't moving fast enough. Like their hands can't actually move faster than, the speed that they're going. And I work for some of these people, they're the most brilliant architects around. All right. So we got FEMA floodplains in here, just as an example. And then zoning is the other one I'm going to show. So we partner with Zonomics, and you can see all of the parcels kind of change their color here. And in the bottom right-hand corner of the canvas, you can see as I move to different zonings, the current zoning for that area. And if you have a site defined in TestFit, you can go to the site parameters, and I'll close some of this stuff. And here we see it's a PUD, planned unit development. A lot of this stuff is not applicable because this is a PUD. And so you might need to go to the PUD zone information to sort of ask or get clarity on what is in this zoning information. So this is Mueller. It's a big, it was an airport in Austin. And I know that they're trying to, have more FAR and more intensity on these sites. And so, our goal maybe is to figure out how we can get to 2 or 3 FAR on this site, keep it walkable, just with some bulks. And so what I'll do is I've got here a retail layer. So TestFit is a layer-based modeling environment similar to Photoshop. And we try to manage typology versus morphology as effectively as we can. And typology is parking, office, multifamily, retail. These are all different uses, and the IBC likes to be very discriminate about how some of these uses work, especially with exiting and life safety. Versus the morphology, so the shape of the damn thing. And so apartments in the US tend to be 60 to 70 feet, building mass width. And this has more to do with how IBC demands horizontal and vertical exits than it does anything else. Offices are, if you're going to do a spec office, but nobody's doing spec office really right now, but it's like 120 feet wide, and you have a racetrack all the way around. That's where you put your cubicles. And so the built environment, because of the way building code exists, will regress towards these optimized forms in the long run. Now, I went to UT architecture, fairly liberal school. So every time I showed a 60-foot building mass width, they're like, why you don't care about high design? It's like, well, let's go change the building code so that we can actually create really great, crazy different building shapes, right? But here we are, the IBC is still in charge. So what I'll do is I'm going to change, let's see here. I want to change.
You can start, side note, you can start casting your votes for the TestFit building code. Now that's for sure what we're pushing people to at the end of this.
Yeah, TestFit building code. I don't, there's Michael Eliason, I think, on Twitter. Like he's a single stair kind of guy, and there's some great ideas out there to improve life safety, but we're stuck with some of these laws. So the first shape I'm going to go through is fill shape, which is just, hey, I want to push-pull the entire site, pushed off of like a setback distance. So you can pull your setback information in, and here's just a big bulk. So this is a fill type, used a lot, really good for sort of manual, call it manual control. If you want to have more manual. So here what I'll do is I'll draw a path offset, and I'm going to do like a void sort of canyon through the middle of it. And I'm going to change this type to void. It's needs to be that kind. Pull it up. And this void should give me a cut right through the geometry. Failed to place. I'm not having a good moment with that. What a mess. Sorry, buddy.
All good. We've all experienced that before, for sure. So,
it's funny. Like I had it working right before the call. So we'll do a different void in a minute. So let's say you don't want to have automass. You just want to fill up the site with, like I said earlier, multifamily is like 70 feet thick. I'm gonna check the FAR here. I am at 2.34. I've got it's a retail. So if I change the type to multifamily, we got like 1,000 units. So I'm overbuilt here. This is way too much density. This is not the right style of building here. And what I might need to do is change my courtyard aspect ratio, make the courtyards bigger. Yeah. And then, I've got sort of a better fix here. And I'm going to do that void thing again. Space. Draw the outline. Trigger generative design the other.
And the goal with this, Clifton, is that we're just kind of exploring, right? We're exploring.
Yeah, we're just exploring.
Like there's morphology to your point before, but what we're doing is we're exploring it within the bounds that your client, right? That the end user is going to, not that the end user, but the client for sure, the other stakeholders that they want to see, right? Within their boundaries. Am I understanding that correctly?
Right. So here I've got the sort of void working. What I wanted was to sort of break up my multifamily space with something different. And I'm trying to cut through it like a Noli map, basically.
Nice.
And like, I can't tell you how much I wanted these kinds of tools when I was working in like development as an urban, like you're kind of doing urban planning problems, but you're like hopeful that you can do more. And so like here, I think is, maybe some people would disagree with the actual form, but like this sucks. This is way more interesting, right? And so like just in the matter of a couple seconds, I'm here, and hopefully, people will work with their counterparts in real time to sort of design. But me as a designer, I'm coming in saying, hey, don't make a big bulk form like that because it sucks for design. Like this is a much better kind of urban plan, right? Mm-hmm. And our goal is to give the tools like that fairly quickly and easily. I'm going to do another space here. I'm going to add like a retail function into the corner here. And because this is layer based, it's going to assume the shape of the thing above it. And so like, if you just want to carve out your retail space, you can. And a lot of people are going to do probably like a double height retail. So I'll drag that up, and then I'm going to change my levels to all to 2. And I'm going to merge the levels. So this is important. Here's my retail load at 886. I'm merge the levels. It's 443. It's a double height space now. And I'm just looking at like the unit count here and the FAR, and it's starting to feel a whole lot better. A building. Of course, the thing we haven't done yet is parking. And so I'll add rectangle parking space. Is there any like questions?
I'm looking it up. Everyone's just excited about what you're showing. I'm not seeing questions, but drop them in because, like I said, I do really, really enjoy aggressively interrupting Clifton whenever I get a chance to.
So here's a garage. I'll go 120 wide and 270 long, so I get kind of one ramp on one edge. Change the height there, and I'm at 0.64 parking. I need a lot more in this Texas-based city, probably, of parking to make it a successful deal.
You guys have, I know that usually you see like undersized parking spots. I'm wondering if Texas, they have oversized parking spots. Does that exist? You got to be able to fit those trucks around there,
The Autodesk Forma team came to Dallas one time, and I drove them around in my Toyota Tundra. They took pictures of it.
That's
okay.
awesome.
So let's talk about dirt. Maybe like kind of skip dirt real quick, but while all this has been happening in the background, we are trying to run just some real quick analysis on cut and fill. So here you can see just under the garage pad, a bunch of cut and a bunch of fill based off of where that elevation should be. And then in the master plan level, the earthwork, we're trying to derive, especially when we get into site solver here in a second, we're automatically cutting and filling stuff to try to be accurate to like civil engineering. So that way we're not like laughed out of the room when we propose better architecture, I guess. So this is something that's relatively new and absolutely growing for us. But here, we got it applied to the whole site. You can see it running in real time. You see all of the fill needs to go into this gully and all the cuts coming from everywhere else. It's just handled. You don't need to do anything.
One question that just popped in from Natalia, wondering if Enscape or any other renderer will be integrated in the future, or if it already is.
We are, force us to focus on geometry, and 30 other startups will do the visualization stuff. I've really I'm really annoyed with like AI rendering because it might be really good. But I'm also really annoyed that like Enscape was on the rise and gave architecture a lot of control over how we're presenting this information. And the two are really at odds with each other. And like, I'm trying to stay out of it for as long as we can. I mean, we will have to at one point, automatically wire up to some of this stuff. We've tried in the past. Yeah, I would say export to OBJ or something. You can pull it into any renderer for right now. It's a good question.
Yeah.
All right.
It's the natural next question always, right? How do we take this and present it? But there's a good point here, right? Because what phase of a project are we in right now, Cliff? I mean, it's like
Shred. Like, don't.
We're just
this tool wants to be used in real time with all the stakeholders, I would say.
Yeah.
And hiding it under a bush will tell the real estate developers that you're fearful of this technology. And in reality, like, I think architecture, because it has to deal with so much technology now, is like probably the only core group of people that will wrap their minds holistically around this stuff. I don't know. We'll get into like the generative design stuff at the end, and then like people can draw their own conclusions. So this is sort of all the manual stuff that we have. You can come in and use it. I think it's $1,200 a year, maybe for all the stuff I've shown so far. Might be a little bit more with the zoning information. I think that's a little bit more expensive, but
just to put that into context, right? That's like, does this save your team 5 to 10 hours a year? Because if it does, then it's worth it. It pays for itself many times over after that. And so,
yes. And if you buy it, I will raise money leveraging the subscription fee like 40 times more than what Autodesk could, so like, all right. So I talked a big game about morphology and typology. So where we come from, our core DNA is site solver. We will continue to put into Urban Planner all of the manual tools that we create and some of the automatic tools that we create. But the site solver is where we make the vast majority of our money right now. And it does stuff like this. Here I have a named retail plaza configurator. And here it says it fills site with parking, adds 2 retail boxes and void spaces. These are attempts at giving you a bunch of paper dolls on your site as quickly as possible. And then also trying to mitigate the risk of the thing we just generated by showing, hey, there's all the actual parking stalls, on this site plan. Get back to clear view. So here, it's I click the parking. This is by far, I think, our most valuable weapon to architecture is the elimination of doing this as part of your job. Like, I hated drawing parking so much. I can't tell you all how much I hated it. But here we just have a very simple algorithm that runs through. It decides a lot of decisions very quickly, and it's parametric. So you can say, hey, my max block length is 166 feet. You can turn that on and off, right? It's just parametric. It's as smart as the information that you give it, and it's as dumb as the information that you give it. The other typology we have, there's higher density. So, moving on from parking, right? This is Gerben, 4-story surface parked. I'll just sort of cycle through. Here's infill podium, where that courtyard aspect ratio is set absolutely incorrectly, right? So give me an option that doesn't work. A lot of these options. All right, here's a podium deal. This is probably, I don't know, 30 to 40% of American housing is these 5/2s. Here's a precast podium. The difference here is that it's only going to do a garage that's two bays wide. And then there's all of the lower density stuff, parcel based solving, which is like single family homes, office core based, garden apartments. Garden apartments is like 30 to 40% of the U.S. housing stock. When we had similar interest rate problems in the early 2000s, a lot of companies made it, like architecture firms made it through recessions doing these. Let's see, industrial. These are, you don't see these in new urbanistic deals. So like, probably not going to spend too much time on this, but we're trying to get the largest possible fire trucks can access rectangular box on a site. And then data centers is kind of the newest and latest. These guys are trying to build, buildings that cost like $1 billion. It's absolutely insane.
While you're jumping through this, Clifton, I'm curious as to like how you all, because I'm assuming you probably have what we would consider to be the right answer. Because I don't even know how I would answer this, but like, how do you all view the difference between, parametric design, generative design, and then artificial intelligence? Where are those lines drawn, and how does that play into the strategy here?
Yeah, so the language for AIs in architecture doesn't exist yet because the parameters don't exist yet. TestFit has the most parameters of anyone, and we're at like 300 or something. So the only way that I see AI realistically weighing in is like, we need to keep building like really high quality configurators, and so many of them. And like, it actually needs to be a like partnership with the architecture community, because like you train the AI on the existing building stock. It's like architecture is literally just thousands of compromises. And so like the thing will literally generate drivel, and
Yep.
So like what you need to capture is like the highest levels of intent, like what are the highest levels of intent? And I think we're still in pursuit of it. Like, it might just be that buildings are so complex and so complicated that these AI systems we're building like fail at understanding all of it, because it is so complex. It has a massive timing component. It has a massive pricing component. Like the Sagrada Familia has to source its stone for one of its facades from Ireland now, because a quarry in Catalonia they ran out of business. Like it doesn't work anymore. So, okay, architecture is pain. You want to go achieve something, it's pain. and AI companies are not like, they want to steal your information so that the machines can go experience the pain for you. And like, I don't think that's not TestFit's DNA. Like, we have 7 teams now, and like each team is focused on a market and is focused on a demographic, and like no one else is doing that. They all just crumble under the intensity of the demands of AEC. We will not.
Is that because, if I'm understanding right, reading between the lines here, you're working with those markets, you're working with architects because you want to defend what that is.
That's it's funny here. One of my main investors is calling me right now. Like,
he said, get off of that LinkedIn Live. This is crazy. Are you
not aware I'm
right
talking to
now?
a bunch of people right now?
Yeah.
Like, the goal is to keep the momentum. We're going to keep it, but to build the parameters. And like, if we want generative design, we have to keep building the parameters. And like, I will show generative design in a minute. It is 1% of what it can be. But first I want to show one very specific thing with SiteSolver, which is, right now I have this garage that every architect is like, the hell is that doing there? I'm just going to rotate it, plug it here in the corner, and now I've got it lined, and it's a lot more palatable. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add an easement in. So say you might have a utility or power easement. This thing will come in and it'll just bomb. Like, it'll literally destroy any geometry in the way. So like, working in development, I got mini site plans that had, building on top of easement, right? So all of these little manual design tools that we've built compound, and that has given or enabled us to, I guess, to have the right to do this, which is to run generative design. And right now we are failing in the background so rapidly that we are getting, in some cases, here's 1.5 thousand possible housing solutions. Make it bigger, maybe. So like, we
don't say we don't need more housing. We've got it,
dude.
Right here. It's right here at TestFit.
This is we created 5,000 metaverse apartments.
Boom, just like that. Yeah. Too soon, maybe.
So what we need to do is we add filters. Maximums 250 units, minimum, I don't know, 200. And so when I do that, it's killing everything that doesn't create units or keys or mods, and it's pulling in some mixed use stuff. But here is a bunch of stuff that's generating around that easement. Most of it is garbage because I need to give it, guess what, better parameters. And I think TestFit died. Yeah, that's a great way to end the.
That was generative. See, it was actually, you just forecasted that, right? You said it's going to get so complex, so many inputs that the AI cannot handle it.
Right. So now our computer science problems are more geared towards search in addition to geometry. And so, yeah.
That's awesome. And then there was Peter had asked a question if when it comes to importing, right? Does it convert to PDF import? Does it convert a PDF import into raster or vector?
Most imports are rasterized. We spend our energy on the geometry, and there's a way to do meets and bounds as an input, and a way to pull in Revit geometry as a site plan input. You can create like a TestFit save file from our Revit plugin, and that'll generate a property line. There's a lot of ways to do vector, but it's not our primary way.
Yeah. And while I'm gonna ask Clifton a question, if you all have them, drop them in, and I will grill Clifton for you. But Clifton, I know there was something, like, we had an interesting conversation yesterday, you and I, and it was about kind of the orientation of TestFit, right? Around how it's oriented towards giving architects the resources they need to get the clients what they want, right? Do a little bait and switch, let's say, right?
Yeah.
Give them what you want, but it gives architects much more control over it because you can really see and quickly iterate on those options. Can you speak a little bit more to that? Assuming that I said it very wrong relatively yesterday.
So we have the OAC contract that is a disaster for our generation and the generations to come, I think. It segments up risk in a way that turns teams kind of against each other. And there's a massive lack of empathy around that OAC contract. And you see it even with people that have made tens of millions of dollars together. You know, like they're not willing to go do IPD. Okay, well, why is that? So I posit that the problem is that without any sort of access to the kinds of analysis that make their jobs important and meaningful, that you will not ever get them to care about design. You know, like, so like I wanted my dad, who's a garden apartment developer, you know, my entire life to do structured parking. Like, Dad, this is really unhealthy for everyone to keep doing this. And, you know, then I go work at like high design firms and we come home and literally spar it out at the table. Like, why do you not care? Like, this is not accretive to the built environment. And he always would say, I have to make the building profitable first before I can do anything else. And the problem is that the design community doesn't seem to care. I'm like, oh, that's a lot. Okay. So I go to architecture school and I don't know, like 10 classes, you know, 30 hours of class was me being told that real estate developers are greedy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
thinking about money in any way is greedy, right? Of course.
Yeah. Like, why is thinking about prosperity antithetical to giving a flying, like, to caring about architecture? The best architects embrace capitalism or embrace being a master builder, use every single facet of the world to their advantage. And, you know, I think we see it in site selection. Like, owners will go to brokers for site selection. They won't go talk to an architect about what site they should use. Owners will go to engineers to optimize the structural elements of a building because architects don't really have time to do that, even though they're contracted to do it. I think that BIM and master spec and a lot of this stuff made us really lazy. Like, you don't need to document everything. You just have to do design intent. And that's like 20 sheets. And today it's 75 sheets. So you're doing IPD without getting paid to do IPD, and you're doing it poorly because you don't get paid, you know, for the effort. And it's just like totally, like, it's like a Freudian knot. So like, all right, well, you know, what do you do as a software company? You know, I want to sell to everybody, brokers, architects, developers, GCs, everyone under the sun. Because if we don't make it about everybody, then we're fragmenting the entire market up again, you know? Mm-hmm. So we care deeply about owner outcomes. And, you know, when you care deeply about owner outcomes, you optimize for getting the thing built, which is the thing that makes everybody money, the thing that gets everybody paid in the long run. You know,
and brings the most joy, honestly, because there's nothing more frustrating than spending months to years on a project that does not get built. That is,
yeah.
That is a painful experience that I'm sure everyone in the chat can relate to.
Yeah.
For the firms that are using TestFit effectively, Clifton, like what kind of impact is it having on their team and their workflows and how they're working with their clients?
One guy got a trial, so we don't offer trials anymore. But one guy got a trial and learned it enough in a week, and then went to a development guy that he knew and like literally pitched him on doing architecture deal. And so he started his firm, you know, through TestFit on, he never paid us any money, but, you know, started his firm. So he will be paying eventually, I'm pretty sure. Right.
But that's incredible. That's a very resourceful person. They clearly deserved it. But just, you're saying even within the trial environment, boom,
yeah, within the trial environment, boom. So like time to value was instantaneous. Yeah, if you're like, I want to do a K through 12 school in TestFit, I would say like, no, you don't do, like, wait for us to create that, you know, and then come use it. But there's SMB, you know, team, Motif Architects, Lakeway Austin. They'll do a charrette with their, you know, their clients, and they'll get all the information they need in an hour instead of 17 back and forth emails. And you sort of bring your client into that charrette environment and you walk them through the scary, you know, algorithm tools, and the reaction's like, holy shit, my clients are engaging with the design process actually, instead of, you know, because like the feedback loop is like, here's a static iteration, here's a static iteration, here's a static iteration. Like I just like waved around a void walking area and we saw like 90 iterations in real time. And like for people that don't have spatial vision, which is like a lot of the people,
all of your clients,
which is like all of the people,
all of the people. Yes.
Like it's just like their neurons are like, holy shit, like I can engage deeply with this, right? So you know, there's also like, you know, the largest owner of real estate on the planet is Prologis. They're the largest REIT. They use TestFit to do warehouses, and like I love them. They want so much for the built environment to be disrupted, and they know there's such huge problems that they're willing to take a chance on us. And you know, I was like, we care about apartments. Like we don't really care about this thing. They're like, no, build us our thing and we will help you, you know, accomplish your mission. So, you know, it goes from, you know, Motif Architects, two guys in Lakeway, all the way to Prologis, the, you know, the largest allocator of capital in the built environment. And like everybody wants change. Like you know.
What I love is that it's so rare. You know, I'm a business owner, you're a business owner, right? When it comes to making purchasing decisions around things, there's always three things that I'm thinking about, which is like, will this help me increase revenue? Will it help me decrease costs? Will it help me reduce risk, right? It's pretty much only ever those three buckets are the reasons that someone is going to make a business decision. And it's really rare, in my opinion, to come across something like that in the architecture scene that does all three. And I think TestFit is one of them, right? Does it increase revenue? Obviously, if you can offer more value up front and make those decisions move a lot quicker, and be able to present the best option to your clients, like it's absolutely going to help you increase revenue, if not only like your fee, because you're increasing your value and your ability to communicate that value to your client, which as anyone that's been following me for a long time knows, like that is the end goal, right? We need to be able to communicate our value effectively. And so it can do that, right? Does it reduce costs or decrease costs? Absolutely, 1000%, right? Because if we're not anymore spending time counting those parking stalls for days on end, only to recount them right after we get another red line from the principal, right? Reducing so many costs just in time and working more efficiently. And then a huge, you know, one that maybe we touched on it a little bit, but what a massive reduction in risk, right? What a massive reduction in risk by having the data that you need in front of you to make those decisions. And it's the same data that you're using right now, or that you're trying to use, or that sometimes, to your point, right, you get a little bit too far and you forget about easements, and then you got to jump back and redo all of the work that you've already done.
Yes,
but that's that's what
new information destroys
yeah,
everything.
the new information that destroys it. But like you have it, you reduce that risk by getting that information in front of you. And I think it's it's just such a huge benefit to architects. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm very blessed to have 8 years, like, I don't even think the founders of Revit had that much time with their own code base. So
Probably not.
Neither one of them was an architect either. So like already starting in the wrong,
Well, there's definitely something about, you like the whole story of TestFit. Like we already know that the best products in general, they come from people that have experienced the pain. Right. And like you said, you worked in the offices, you did this, you experienced the red lines and then having to recount and redraw all of the stalls and those things. And so use that generative business. And that's a great story. It doesn't get much better than that. And then here we are 8 years later. 2 questions that just popped in, or 1, 2. I thought I saw it. Maybe it's gone. But there was another one here that can TestFit generate a unit mix with the apartment site plans?
Yes, it can. I mean, it's best to understand your own unit mix, I would say, first. So if you're an architect looking to do development, run a little market survey, go, talk to an apartment near where you want to do your deal and try to see what percentage of units they have. And apartments.com will typically have, the sizes and the rent numbers, but the percentages you can go ask like people that lease apartments. And the makeup of the building is really determined by capitalism more than, a designer's will, I would say. But you can prove me wrong. Go do a crazy, 4 bedrooms, family only deal or something. Getting some, design magazines. Like we need more missing middle stuff. Like developers can't figure it out because you got to be different scale. Sorry, this is a Unimix question. What's the second question?
It's gone. It's not there anymore.
It's gone.
You scared him away. You completely scared him away.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. Where do you want to push people to, Clifton? And also thanks for being here. But like testfit.io obviously is the website. But what do you want people to know?
Yeah. So we're gonna do a roadmap meeting in a couple weeks, where we will go through each individual typology and kind of what its specific, future looks like. Oh, sorry. They're saying it's in 1 week. So 1 week.
That's why you hire great people, is to tell you that.
They were deeming me on Slack that I was using the layers wrong. So that was great. Thanks, guys. Our website, if you fill out any form on our website, there's like people that will try to react quickly, to your requests. I think you might even be able to buy Urban Planner without even talking to us now. I could be wrong. Site Solver is a little bit different because we sell it by the site now. So, that turned out like a couple customers were running 300 site plans a year through, a $3,000 license, and good for them, right? Like that's awesome. But we would
gotta love the resourceful ones. Yeah.
We also like to get paid,
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to engage with us. If there is a building type that we do not support currently that you would really like for us to support, that goes through me and Jack. Jack's our director of new markets. I think right now he's looking at like self-storage and retail, like drive-through retail might be one of the things he's looking at. So yeah, we'll have a roadmap meeting where we'll go through 8 or 9 different people and kind of what they're focusing on. You know, so you can start to build a deeper relationship with the broader corporation. I really, you know, I'm not like warm and cuddly, you know, like I kind of called out.
Wow, disagree.
Kind of called out some people, you know, on social media, and you know, that's my role. Like we need more founders to make a difference. And like, if you're an architect and technology is continuously annoying you, like you might be able to make 10 times the amount of money just building an app, solving your own problems in a way. And like AI, you know, you can go to my website, onlyplans.io, and I've got 30 different AI centric blog posts about like, hey, I built a life safety calculator with AI, you know, to try to.
They are very good. And I didn't realize, like, you've been messaging them to me and they blow my mind every time. And I didn't even realize that it was just like a for the hell of it thing. So it's pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Urban Planner doesn't show individual units, Martin. Good to hear from you though. I think I gave Martin a demo in like 2018 or something.
So you know what's funny? I just realized that those comments pop up right there, which makes it so much easier. But
we're learning our software as we're
we're learning the software on the go here. But onlyplans.io for sure, something to check out. Amazing things that Clifton just does in his spare time. You can tell that he is completely passionate about this. 1000% everyone here should go follow Clifton on LinkedIn because he's a very transparent founder. I really enjoy following you and supporting TestFit. There's always good things that come out of there. And that roadmap meeting that you're having in a week, I'm assuming there's going to be glimpses and sneak peeks as to what's coming in TestFit that you'll be sharing from there as well.
We're going to open up the kimono for the first time. And,
boom.
You know, here's how we do it. So
that's awesome. So there's that. And then testfit.io to learn more, and for sure be one of the whatever gazillion people, 50,000, I think, right, that follow TestFit on LinkedIn because your content's so good. So go check them out. Go check out Site Planner and Urban Planner. Site those were the right words, right?
Site Solver
and Urban Planner. Yeah. Site Solver is a much easier one to remember, actually.
Well, it makes a lot more money, so it's, you know,
it's the alliteration always makes a huge difference. But go check them out. And thanks so much for joining me here, Clifton. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, likewise.
All right. We'll see y'all later.